This was my hair last year, and this is what my hair looks like right now. Honestly, when I look at these two pictures side by side, I still have those moments when I'm like, wait, is this actually my hair? Because if you have fine hair, you already know how frustrating it can be. Your hair can be long but somehow still look short. You can have a full head of hair but your ponytail looks tiny. You can grow your hair for months only to feel like nobody can actually tell because your strands are so fine. And then there are those things we have been told about fine hair. Your hair is just naturally thin. Fine hair can't get really full. You probably just have bad genetics. And maybe you've even been convinced yourself that this is simply how your hair is supposed to look. But I want you to pause for a second because before I tell you exactly what changed for me, let's play a little game. It's called Put a Finger Down. I'm very sure some of us are already used to it. So now let's start. Put one finger down if you have ever looked at your hair and thought, why does my hair look so much thinner than other people's? Put another finger down if you've ever grown your hair for months but felt like the length wasn't actually showing because your ends look so thin. Put another finger down if you've ever avoided certain hairstyles because you felt like your hair wasn't dense enough to pull them off. Put down another finger if you've ever compared your hair to someone else and wondered, what am I doing wrong? And finally, put one more finger down if you've ever wished you could somehow make your hair look and actually become fuller, thicker, and longer. So, how many fingers are still up? If you put all five fingers down, then girl, you were in the exact same shoes as I was in a year ago. This time last year, I was genuinely ashamed of my hair's density. I would look at my hair and see how fine my strands were, how little volume I had, how thin my ends looked, and I just felt like my hair wasn't living up to its potential. And the frustrating part was that I wanted long hair so badly, but I didn't just want length. I wanted that kind of length where your hair actually looked full and healthy. I wanted to be able to put my hair in a style and not feel like I had to constantly worry about how thin it looked. I wanted thicker looking ends. I wanted more volume. I wanted my hair to actually look like it had grown, not just be technically longer on a measuring tape. So I decided that instead of constantly complaining about having fine hair, I was going to figure out what I could actually change. And over the next year, I completely changed the way I treated my hair. I stopped focusing only on making my hair grow and started focusing on something I had been overlooking for years, retaining what I grew and protecting the density I already had. And that shift made a much bigger difference than I expected. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what I did different, what I stopped doing, and what I started paying attention to, and the habits that helped me take my fine hair from this to this in just 1 year. And that distinction is everything. Now, let's get started. Hi, peaceful crowns. If you're new here, welcome to our little corner of the internet where we talk about growing healthy, beautiful, natural hair without making the journey feel impossible. And if you've been here for a while, you already know that we don't just talk about getting longer hair over here. We're talking about healthy hair, retaining the hair we grow, understanding our strands, taking care of our scalp, and most importantly, building a routine that actually works for your hair. So if that's something you're interested in, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel because it really helps this video reach more girls who are struggling with the same exact things we are talking about today. And trust me, if you've ever looked at your fine hair and wondered, is it even possible for my hair to become this full? Stay with me because we're about to get into exactly what I change. So let's talk about why some people experience low density or hair loss. Your hair follicles are living structures inside your skin that produce your hair. And when something interferes with the normal hair growth cycle, you can start experiencing increased shedding, thinning, or actual hair loss. There are many possible reasons. Genetics can play a role, hormonal changes can play a role, certain illnesses and medications can play a role, nutritional deficiencies can play a role, stress can trigger increased shedding in some people. And then there are conditions such as alopecia, which is actually a broad term for hair loss rather than one single disease. For example, alopecia areata is an autoimmune condition where the immune system attacks hair follicles. Fortunately, the follicles are usually not permanently destroyed, which means regrowth can be possible. But there are also scary forms of alopecia. In conditions such as certain types of cicatricial alopecia, inflammation can destroy the follicle and replace it with scar issue. And once a follicle has been destroyed, it cannot simply be brought back with a new oil, hair mask, or protective style. This is why I always encourage you to take unexplained hair loss seriously instead of immediately assuming, oh, I have just fine hair or I just have fine hair. Mm-mm. Sometimes what looks like naturally thin hair may actually be hair loss that needs to be investigated. And then there's something that we as black women really need to talk about: the way we style our hair. I love a good protective hairstyle, but protective does not automatically mean protective. If your braids are extremely tight, or your scalp hurts after installation, or your edges are constantly being pulled, if you are repeatedly wearing hairstyles that put tension on the same areas, you are not necessarily protecting your hair, you are putting stress on it. Then you have to ask yourself this question: when does my hair actually get a break? That question leads directly into the first thing I change. Number one, I started by finding out what was actually wrong with my hair. The first thing I did was to stop guessing. And honestly, this is one of the biggest lessons I learned. Instead of buying another product and hoping it will solve the problem, I wanted to understand what was actually happening. So I would recommend seeing a qualified professional who can access your scalp. If you are experiencing persistent thinning, excessive shedding, bald spots, receding areas, or changes in your density. Depending on where you live, there may be a dermatologist, a trichologist, or another qualified hair loss professional. Because you cannot treat what you haven't identified, right? Imagine having a headache and taking five different medications without knowing what caused the headache. That's how I think a lot of us approach hair growth. One person says, use this oil, and that person says, take this vitamin, and that person says, do this treatment. And before you know, your bathroom looks like a hair care laboratory, but you still don't know what your actual problem is. You don't know if it's excessive shedding, breakage, traction, or a scalp condition, if it's nutritional or hormonal, if it's genetic, or if it's a combination of one or two things. Sometimes it could even be a keratin problem. A lot of us struggle with this. A lot of us, our hair do not have adequate protein, and we do not know. If you do not see a trained professional, how would you know? Which leads me to the second point. Number two, I stopped ignoring hair shedding and checked my iron levels. Let me say this carefully because I don't want you to hear iron and immediately run out to buy an iron supplement. Iron deficiencies can be associated with hair loss, but not every person experiencing hair loss is iron deficient. That's why I believe in testing rather than guessing. If you're experiencing unusual, emphasis on unusual, if you're experiencing unusual shedding or thinning, talk to your doctor about whether blood tests are appropriate for you and what should actually be tested. Iron status can be assessed through blood work, and your doctor may consider things such as blood work, blood count, and iron stores depending on your situation. Iron deficiency anemia itself can include hair loss among its symptoms. And this was important for me because I realized something. You can have the best hair routine in the world, but if something happening inside your body is contributing to excessive shedding, your products cannot fix the underlying problem. Your hair is part of your body. So I started paying attention to the body too. And if you want a deeper breakdown of the nutrients and supplements I discussed for hair growth, I will link up my supplements for hair growth video for you because I go much deeper into that there. But remember, supplements should supplement a need. That shouldn't replace a proper diagnosis. And once I started paying attention to what was happening with my shedding, I realized I also needed to look at something else: how I was treating the hair that was still on my head. Because there is no point trying to grow more hair if I'm constantly stressing the hair I already have. Number three, I became very selective about my protective styles. This one was huge for me. I didn't stop protective styling, I changed how I protective styled. Because there's a difference between giving your hair a break and simply putting your hair in another hairstyle. My goal became less manipulation, less tension, and more time for my hair to simply exist. So instead of constantly changing hairstyles because I was bored, I started choosing styles that I could comfortably keep for a reasonable amount of time without stressing my scalp. And I want to emphasize the word comfortably. If your protective style hurts, gives headaches, makes your hair feel painfully tight, or pulls around your edges, that's not something you should endure because you want the style to last. The American Academy of Dermatology specifically warns that repeated tight hairstyles, including tightly braided styles and cornrows, can contribute to traction alopecia. So for my fine hair, I became more intentional. So you want to do styles that are low tension, low manipulation, easy to moisturize, easy to maintain, gentle around edges, and realistic for your hair density. And then I started doing something that sounds so simple. I give my hair time. I give my hair some break, some time. 3 weeks is okay. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. You can go to 8 weeks if you can comfortably carry it like that. So once you've reduced unnecessary manipulation, the next question becomes, okay, but how do I keep this fine strand strong and moisturized? And that's where number four comes in. Number four, I learned how to actually moisturize my fine natural hair. This sounds like a basic hair care tip. Moisturize your hair. We've all heard it. We've been hearing it for long. But then I realized that there's a difference between putting a product on your hair and actually having a good moisture routine. For Afro textured hair, moisture becomes less about constantly adding products and more about maintaining a balance between water, conditioning, and sealing or locking in moisture where appropriate. Because my hair is fine, I also had to be careful about product buildup. So the right way to moisturize would be use moisture, then sealing with oil or hair butter. Moisture means water and leave-in conditioner, and then you follow up with a hair growth oil and hair butter. If you do not have the both of them, you can just use either one of them. A hair growth oil works and a hair butter also works. Once I had the basics under control, my scalp, my shedding, my protective styles, and my moisture routine, I started experimenting with something that had already been part of traditional hair care for generations: Ayurvedic herbs. Number five, I started incorporating Ayurvedic herbs into my routine. Now, this is probably the part many of you have been waiting for, because if you've been following me for a while, you already know that Ayurvedic herbs are something I genuinely enjoy incorporating into my hair routine. But I don't want you to look at this final step and think, aha, so the herbs were the secret. No, the herbs were part of the routine. They weren't replacing the foundation. I wasn't using herbs while ignoring shedding, scalp problems, tight hair styles, breakage, or poor moisture routine. I was using them alongside a healthier overall routine, and I incorporated them in different ways. Sometimes in my leave-in spray, sometimes infused into oil, sometimes in hair masks, and sometimes as part of my wash day routine or a rinse. The specific herbs I use vary depending on what I was making and what I wanted that particular treatment to do. But the biggest thing I learned was consistency, not using a herbal mixture once and expecting waist-length hair the next morning, not changing recipes every 3 days, not piling 10 different herbs onto my scalp because somebody on the internet said more herbs equal more growth. I kept it very simple according to my hair needs. So this is what you are going to do. Before using Ayurvedic herbs, you go online and you search what each of them solves, like the problem they solve, and you think about it. Which health problems do I have? Then you will look for the herbs that actually solve those problems. Then you incorporate into your hair routine. Do you understand? So when I put all of these five things that I've spoken about together, something started changing. If you try it, you are definitely going to be seeing changes in your hair. So in conclusion, if I had to summarize everything I did to take my fine hair from where it was a year ago to where it is today, it would come down to five things. Number one, I stopped guessing and started investigating my hair and scalp issues. Number two, I paid attention to excessive shedding and made sure I wasn't overlooking things like iron deficiency or other underlying health issues. Number three, I changed the way I protective styled my by prioritizing low tension, low manipulation styles and giving my hair enough time to rest and grow. Number four, I learned how to properly moisturize my natural hair instead of simply putting more and more products onto it. And number five, I incorporated Ayurvedic herbs into my routine through things like leave-in sprays, oils, masks, and wash day treatments. And I think the best lesson from all of this is fine hair is not hopeless hair. You don't necessarily need thicker strands to have beautiful, full looking hair. Sometimes you need to understand your density, you need to understand your scalp, you need to identify what's causing excessive shedding or breakage. And most importantly, you need to give your hair the consistency and gentleness it needs to actually stay on your hair. So if you are currently looking at your fine hair and thinking, girl, I don't know if my hair can ever look like that, I want you to remember that this was once my reality too. And this is what happened when I stopped fighting my hair and started understanding it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up because it helps the video reach more people, more women who may be struggling with fine or low density hair. And if you are not already part of our Peaceful Crafts family, hit that subscribe button and join us. And tell me in the comment, do you have fine hair, low density hair, or both? Because I really want to know who I'm talking to. And if you've discovered something that has genuinely helped you retain more length or improve the health of your hair, share it in the comments too. Let's help each other. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, darlings.